So I would like to look at the present and future challenges in this world. As we know that we are dealing with COVID-19 and it is posing immense threat to India and worldwide. We are looking at a series of waves coming one after other. The COVID, we are dealing with recession, and we don't know whether recession will lead to depression. But what we are also dealing simultaneously is climate change chaos. So looking at heavy rains in northern India and flash floods, loss of life, and loss of human habitat, animal habitat, loss of vegetation, loss of infrastructure, and inability to cope and deal with this massive disruption in human settlement is become a major concern at present in India as well as overseas. Just today morning, I was listening to Radio Canada, and the first thing I heard was that the present finance minister, Bill Morneau, in Canada, is a federal minister, resigned. So the reason being that Canadian government is experiencing fiscal deficit because there is massive funding which is happening for dealing with COVID situation. So Canada is printing lots of money using different financial instruments, and of course it is digging Canada into a deeper hole, debt. So there is a massive national debt right now, which means that citizens in Canada bears that, and we don't know how deep Canada will go into debt. It's a huge financial meltdown in the country. I'm looking at how this COVID has changed livelihood of millions of people in India. India has done a lot of work in the past 20 years to bring millions of people above poverty line. So a lot of work was done to bring so many people so that they enjoy certain standard of living. It is said that those millions of people have fallen below poverty line once again. And this is not just in India, but it's also happening in Canada. So as part of COVID, millions of people have lost their livelihood because the reality has changed so much. A lot of people were used to a certain way of living, at certain livelihood, at certain skill set. It's becoming irrelevant in changing reality, and so it means that people have to relearn newer ways of living, newer ways of livelihood system, and also learn newer skills. So it has put out many people out of their livelihood system. And so one example I can give is I'm from Kumbara community, where we make traditional clay pots as well as novelty items using clay. And now this season we have Ganesha festivities where people from my community make a lot of clay Ganesha and they bring it to market. Because of COVID, government has brought in a lot of restriction to sell Ganesha, and so people in my community had invested a lot of time and energy the entire year to produce hundreds and thousands of Ganesha, and it's all risking as they're sitting in the go down and don't know what to do with that, because a lot of these people are hoping to raise their income. Looks like they're not able to get any return during these festivities. They're in huge distress. That's one example, and that is challenging people in my community to relearn different skills or modify their skills so that they fit into current changing reality. So this is one challenge that COVID has thrown at us. At the same time, because of environmental concern, government has brought in restriction the kind of Ganeshas that can be in market in terms of size, in terms of the composition of the Ganesha idols, etc. So it has really negatively impacted people of my community. I can give another example where people in living close to Arctic Circle in Canada, in a province called Nunavut, and also a place called Yellowknife in Northwest Territories, and Yukon Territory. These are three provinces or territories falling close to Arctic Circle in Canada. These are native people who are like Eskimos or Inuits, who had a traditional knowledge of livelihood like hunting and gathering. So because ice is melting, the human habitat as well as animal habitat is changing so much that these people are not able to hunt any further. So they're not able to find food, and so they are kind of drifting south and unable to fit into urban reality there. They are really becoming homeless and a problem to law enforcement. So people who are staying back or relearning different set of skills so that they can adapt to changing reality. So this is another situation close to North Pole in Canada. One of the major challenges that's facing us in the world is loss of vegetation caused by deforestation. Just yesterday I saw on news that farmers in Brazil have taken part of Amazon forest and have cleared the forest for them to cultivate crop. So why this is happening is because there are too many people needing food. There is shortage of food. There is food insecurity in Brazil, so they have to produce more food, and this is what is happening. So the loss of vegetation and deforestation, which means will impact climate change in the world, like what is happening in India right now, because we lost vegetation, and we are now experiencing landslide. We are experiencing flash floods, silting of lakes and rivers, where all the rainwater that falls is lost into the ocean. And when comes summer, we experience a shortage of water. Living close to Esarghatta Lake, I see that lake is totally dried. We have no water, and so while it is raining heavily in northern Karnataka and also in Malnad region, we are losing water in the ocean, and so some parts of Karnataka, they are kind of drought condition. There is no drinking water, and this is what is happening. When there is excess of rainwater, we are not able to channel it to a place where it is needed most. So we had a system in the past where all the lakes were interconnected through channels, and the channels when actually took the water that overflow from one lake to another, ensuring the water security for the entire state. That now that the channels have been destroyed, and some of these channels and lakes are silted, that water keeps overflowing, and finally it gets lost in the ocean. So this is a real challenge of present and future, and this will definitely trigger massive clashes between people and between nations. There is no doubt about it. So another risk of climate change chaos is converting a fertile land into desert. The process of desertification and becoming a dust bowl. Massive regions in the world have become a dust bowl. So it is a big challenge to turn this dust bowl into fertile land once again. So this is what is happening at present, and it poses immense challenge in future. I can give another example of how climate change chaos is changing habitation for animals and people, and how animal-human conflict is arising and causing so much of distress in Canada. We have a place called Churchill in the province of Manitoba. It is very close to North Pole, where polar bear lives. So recent time, as glaciers are melting, ice is melting, so the polar bears which lives on ice are not able to stay there anymore, and they're not able to fetch their hunt. So they start drifting south, looking for food. When they come into local towns like Churchill and come in conflict with people. So the municipality in Churchill has set up a holding center where when people call these people from holding center, they come and lift these polar bears and sedate them, carry them in a chopper and put them back in the wilderness. And this is what is happening on a day-to-day basis in Canada, and in order to prevent human-animal conflict. I want to conclude by saying that the challenges that we are facing in present and likely to face in future got to be combated in a positive way. That's the only way forward to us. And one of the major challenges we have is to deal with growing population. It is said that Earth could sustain maximum of 4 billion people. Earlier they said 2 billion people, and they pushed it to 4 billion people so that everyone can live optimally on Earth. But now with a population of 7.5 billion, it is really challenging to sustain, and it is expected that population will grow by 8 billion by 2050. This is something that we got to seriously think about, and we have aging population, and that is growing by the year, and it puts a lot of pressure on Earth's depleting resources. And so these are issues that we got to deal with. And so the challenges of the future are ocean, river, lakes, our air, forestation. So these are the areas that we got to address, bring it into balance so that human, animal, agriculture and ecology can all coexist in cohesion.